So I've avoided it long enough. We're going to address this elephant in the room. So when I was 26 years old, I instantly lost $600,000. It happened. And I don't know if this... So I didn't do anything crazy with $600,000. I didn't gamble it in penny stocks or go to Vegas or Atlantic City or something like that. I bought a condo, and this is a picture of me here. With my friend. I conned my friend, and with beer money to come help me paint it and put the flooring in. And but I guarantee you, I instantly this day I closed on this house in June of 2005. I instantly lost $600,000. The stats are up on the screen. Purchase price $305,000, $40,000, which is about everything I had at that point in my life. My wife and I, it was our goal to no longer pay rent and own a property. And we had a mortgage of $265,000. It was a penthouse condo in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts. Me and my family, we own this property today. And we have an equity of about $409,000. Does anybody see how I could have lost $600,000 instantly? If you're in the mentorship group, don't give it away. We get a little bit of rent from this. We rent it out, and get about $2,300 a month in rent, and there's not much cash flow because every time we increase the rent, the HOA fee goes up, but it's still a pretty nice asset, and we're going to come to that. But I want to get into thinking bigger. I love that. That's amazing. What we need versus the most we can get. And this is a philosophical debate about wealth. What we need versus the most we can get. This is a typical, this is a clip from an ad, most financial advice is based on. And it asks us, okay, you sit down with a financial advisor or somebody at a retirement plan, at your company, and they ask you, okay, how much money do you need to live on? What do you need? And you say, okay, well, I'm making X amount of dollars a year, and then they back into a number that you need to have to be able to generate that. It's called the 4% rule, if you've ever heard of it. You could Google this. It's 100% accurate. It's based off of actuarial data from years and years and years of stock returns and inflation. And so if you got, if this gentleman over here who's kind of checking out the younger guy, he's got about, his number's $2 million, so he needs about 80, so he's trying to replace $80,000 a year of income. And in order for him to do that for life, without the risk of running out of money, he needs to have about $2 million, and he'll be able to have $80,000 a year. Now, again, I fully admit this is completely accurate. There's studies have been done on this, but I also think it's a very limiting way to think about wealth. I don't know what this guy is going to need whenever he retires. I don't know what I'm going to need when I retire. Nobody knows. You can't predict what you're going to want or need. So you might as well get the most you can get, right? But in order, so if we want to get to maximum financial potential, we need to be organized. We got to organize for growth, and we've got to address your financial junk drawer. Now, all of us have one of these in our house. I guarantee you I have one of these in my house, and I might have two, actually. I've got everything in there but the chattering teeth. But do we also have one of these? We got to address this, and it's a financial junk drawer just happens. You become an adult, you get a job, you need a bank account to deposit money into, checking account, right? And then we get a 401k because our employer offers us some kind of match, and it's a good idea to save for the future, right? And then we leave that job and we roll that money into an IRA. And then we get another 401k, and then somebody's along the way, maybe you're reading the Wall Street Journal that a Roth IRA is a good idea. We don't know why. So we get one of those, and then, this just happens. We just keep accumulating products. This is what the financial industry is based on. It's based off of product sales. And this is usually where I end up talking to people, is they get to this place where they have all this stuff, and it's not bad. It's not necessarily bad, but it's just not working together. We don't understand why we have it all, and we get frustrated. And so what we really need to be doing, is organizing. We have to understand that it's not just one drawer. It's multiple drawers. You got a tax advantage drawer and a taxable drawer and a tax deferred drawer. They all serve different purposes. Then we got to take an inventory. We got to see what we have and where it fits, right? And have that conversation with ourselves. Okay, what are our goals? And does this serve me? Do all the things that I have serve me? And if they don't, how do we plan around that? If you're at a place where you don't know if you need a plan, I will tell you that if you own assets, if you have any of those tiles that I just showed you, you're ready. If you have income and you're paying your bills and you have a little bit left over to save, you're ready. And if you have both of those things, I am going to be here for the next couple of days. Come and see me because you needed a plan yesterday. Because if you don't have a plan, I can guarantee you that financial institutions have a plan for you if you don't have a plan. And the government 100% has a plan for you if you do not have a plan. Got it? You need a plan. So I'll tell you, I didn't have a plan. I was literally a new financial advisor, brand new, learning these things, dispensing advice, and trying to make decisions myself. And so I'm going to explain what happens. So that's $600,000. I'm going to just pull it back up on the screens. Anybody? Here's the stats. Anybody see how I could have lost that $600,000? She alluded to it before. It's opportunity cost. This multifamily, you can see off in the distance, this closed the exact same week that I bought this condo. And if I had bought that multifamily, I would have used that 40. This was before 2008 when they just gave you money. You didn't even need a down payment. But if I bought that for somebody bought this for $525,000, I would have had a mortgage that was bigger, but I could have qualified for. And that property sold the end of last year for $1.3 million. So my equity stake would have been about $1 million. And $1 million minus $400,000 is $633,000. So I didn't have $600,000 to lose, but in one single transaction, by not thinking bigger and not being organized enough to understand what was possible, I lost $600,000. And the cash flow would have been pretty nice too. But, the condo is what I needed, right? But the 3-family is what I could have gotten. That was my maximum financial potential. So once we understand this, and we've organized for growth, we've been thinking bigger, we've organized for growth, and now we could play financial chess. So you can have wealth the way that you want it, not the way financial institutions want you to have it, not the way the government wants you to have it. And it's all about framework. You got 3 phases of wealth. It's the way that we look at this. We're all in this phase of accumulation. Success in this phase is to make your money bigger, right? So Walter's going to get into wealth stacking later. We address this in our mentorship program, by tracking our net worth every single week. And growth is what we judge success on. But then if at some point we need to move that money over into the financial freedom phase, where the amount of money no longer matters. It doesn't matter what your net worth is. What your net worth is when you're in financial freedom. What matters is how much income you can generate. Maximum income in financial freedom is what success is. And if we planned well, legacy. We can actually create a legacy with what we've accumulated. We could pass on 100% if we want to, if we plan correctly. Success in one phase does not guarantee success in the next phase. We need to be thinking a phase or 2 ahead of where we are. So we'll play a little game. A or B? At the end of the accumulation phase. It's not a trick question. What would you want, A or B? A? I'm picking A. I'm with you. But I'm gonna add some more facts, and I'm gonna let you change your answer. So let's say A uses that 4% rule, and they're able to generate about $80,000 a year, and let's say they're in financial freedom for 30 years, and they generate $2.4 million of income off of their $2 million. It's pretty good. I'd take that. I'd take that. But let's say B planned just a little bit differently. And let's say the same amount of risk, they were able to pull 8% of their income. So same amount of risk, 90% chance of not running out of money, and they're able to get $3.6 million of income. Would anybody change their answer? I'm changing my answer. Who wants both? I want both. But A is that limited way of thinking, and B is maximum financial potential. And that's what we need to be thinking multiple phases when we're making choices today. The answer is in your junk drawer. If you have assets today, it's there. And the longer that you wait to address what's in your junk drawer, this is what happens. You get frustrated. That's me, by the way. And if you never address it, I can tell you, I've come to people, it's a dumpster fire. Just an absolute dumpster. Like when you're trying to shift money around to make it last longer, later in life, it hurts and it's costly. And the government is ready. They're ready to take it. That's what happens. And so I'm going to share just kind of a personal story. This is me at age 26. I'm 26 years old. I'm sitting in that condo that I bought, and I've got my infant son sleeping on me, and he's drooling on me, if you can see. And I learned how expensive college was. See, when you become a financial planner, they give you all these calculators where you can tell how much a college costs and all that. And I looked at how much the colleges were going to cost 18 years from that day. And I said, oh man, I'm stressed sleeping in this picture, I'll tell you. But my grandmother, a couple years before that, she passed away. She died, and I heard Walter talking about his grandfather before, and it made me think of her. And she was an amazing, amazing person, very positive influence. Grew up during the Depression in Brooklyn, New York. Did not have a lot of money, never really had a lot of money, but influenced so many people. And when she died, my father finally got around to addressing her will, and it turned out she had left me, my sisters, my cousins, each $300. And I had to laugh. It's just that she even thought of us, to leave any money to us is, such a gift. And but what do you do? When somebody that you love leaves you just a little bit of money, you don't want to ever see it go away. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna honor her. I want to honor her in some way. I'm gonna open a 529 plan, one of those plans that you put money in for college, because when I graduated college, I had the opportunity to go. She was the most proud person there. The reason is that she never graduated high school. She went and worked when she was 12 years old during the Depression. And she was the most proud person at my graduation, all of my cousins and sisters and everything. She never had a chance to do that. And for her to see somebody in her family get to do that was a huge deal. And so to honor her, I opened a 529 plan, and I started to, again, because I was stressed, start making deposits myself and save and invest. And this is me, kind of a recent picture, age 41. My first kid is 15. He's actually now 16. He's the one that's next to me. He's got a little brother that's next to him who just drives him absolutely crazy. Drives me crazy, too. Literally, he texted me today, and he's in middle school. He asked me to bring his soccer uniform to the middle school. It's like, do you know where I am? Like, where have you been? He drives us crazy. And they have a little sister also. She's 10 years old. She controls all of them. They don't even realize it. She is a master of influence. But I saved and invested. My wife and I, made those sacrifices. We put money aside, probably ate out less and saved money, invested it in these 529 plans, and we grew the money. And we can now confidently say, 2 years away from our first child going to college, that we can fully fund all of their educations. That's amazing, right? I'm 26-year-old me is very proud of that. I met my goal of paying for college. My grandmother would be proud that she contributed even just a little bit to that. But, me today is a little bit older, a little bit wiser, has different goals, is a little bit more educated on finance and wealth, thinks much differently. Once the second that I start to spend that money, it's gone. It's gone. It's an asset that is gone forever. And I'm not okay with that, because I look at the world through the 3 phases of wealth that we just went through. So, if we look at it through that lens, from an accumulation standpoint, I did the right thing. We grew the money, and we were able to pay for college. But what happened? The money is gone. It's over. And I learned, I came to this realization probably about 7 or 8 years ago in a training class, I was taking on finance, something that I was doing for continuing education. And I raised my hand and I asked the person teaching the course, I said, well, what if you already have a lot of money saved in this? I'm like, would you have to pay penalties? You pull this money out? And he's like, well, what's worse? Spending all the money or just paying some of the penalties? We're planning some of the other way. Maybe you buy a property. Maybe you buy that, that's the irony of it all, that 3-family and its cash flow, $2,600 a month. It would have been nice to have if I had thought bigger when I was younger, if I had understood these things. These things were taught in schools. They'll never be taught in schools. But I made adjustments. I did what I could, and that's me frustrated that I didn't buy the 3-family. But I made adjustments, and I, found other ways to create income and found other ways to leverage other assets in my life. And this money that I have saved, it's a nice sum of money, is going to grow even bigger over the next 30, 35 years, so that when my son is the one sitting in the chair, his kids' educations, my grandchildren, will not have to worry about this. This will be one less thing that they have to think about. It'll be done. And so, financially, it checks all the boxes for me. Accumulation, paying for college, and creating a legacy. Emotionally, I can feel confident that if I teach these things to my children and their grandchildren, that original $300 that my grandmother gave me will live on forever. And my kids might never need this money. Maybe they'll create an education, maybe they'll create a nonprofit. For kids like my grandma who never had a chance to do these things. See, the choices, if you plan, the earlier you plan, the choices get more fun. The tagline for my company is choice, not chance. And the more that you grow, the more that you plan, the more that you can get ahead of this, the better it is. And you can create a legacy. Most of the years that I funded these accounts, I was not a high income earner. So you don't have to be super wealthy. But I will tell you, if you're making a lot of money, which is what all these other coaches are going to be talking to you about, it's just so much easier. So pay attention, please. This is just easier. But legacy, legacy is really, to me, the most important thing at this point. And I would encourage you, as you're going through these exercises, creating these business plans this week and implementing them, consider legacy. Consider legacy as part of that. And I'm going to end it with, what will your legacy be? I'm having a little trouble with this. What's your legacy? Think about that as you're going through the rest of the weekend. Thank you so much. It's an honor to spend time with you in this way. And that's how I'm going to end it.
Let's give Ryan McDermott a round of applause.